Hello, folks. Welcome to Our City Matters. Today, we're still on the campaign trail. We have LisaMFreeman with us today, and she's going to tell us all about Ward 5 school committee run that she's in for here.
Hi, Deb.
Hi, Lisa. Well, I know this is going to be a good interview because you're so funny.
Oh, gosh.
I went to your website, and I just couldn't stop laughing.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you.
Anybody want to laugh, go to LisaMFreeman's website or Facebook page, really.
Yep.
She has two Facebook pages, one for school committee and one personal.
Right.
So there's a lot of information there, your views, your sentiments. Tell us about your sentiments about the school board.
Well, it's no secret that I'm a fixture in the school board meetings. I've been there so often that I know they're beginning to get sick of seeing me there. So just put me in there, that's all. I'm running for school board. This is my second attempt, and I'm running for school board because I have been troubled since day one about the direction of the school board. Seems to be a handful of people that historically vote the same way, along the same lines, and the two or three people that vote against those people are consistently shot down and minimized, and it's time to shake things up a little bit. It was time to shake things up 2 years ago, but now would be the best time possible. You know, what concerns me the most is the huge disconnect between the administration, the school board, the parents, and the teachers. No one is communicating, but there are no mechanisms in place either to foster that. We need those types of relationships in order to get over these educational humps. So that is something I would bring to the table, is a better line of communication. If you're not talking to each other, or you're just talking at each other, nothing gets solved. And that's what's happening. That's what's happening.
Right. There's been huge transformation now in the schools with Common Core and Dr. Livingston coming in for, I think, the Commissioner Virginia Berry to do her bidding in our district.
And that's no secret.
She was recommended.
Right. It's no secret.
So, you know, we really I don't think, have a neutral superintendent who's watching out just for the district. I think she's just watching out for and implementing what the commissioner wants for our district, coming down from Washington.
Right.
So, I mean, the effectiveness of our school board members, I think, are diminished now that we have federal education.
Well, I think so too, and that's one of the things I'd really like to see back and will work for, is local control.
Exactly.
And parental control. The school system is not made up of politicians. The school system is made up of teachers, children, and parents who don't want to get into the political arena or understand the political arena. And that's in the last 2 years, that's what you've seen. You know, most decisions made on the school board are politically motivated. That is no place for politics. It is not a place for politics. When you're talking about the well-being of children, you have to put your own personal politics aside. And quite frankly, if you're not seeing the disastrous results right now, then you're not looking close enough. You're not looking close enough. And I think, too, this administration has been really, really good at clandestinely hiding a lot of facts. You know, nothing is forthcoming. Requests over and over again, half answers. No, I don't have the answer to that. The assistant superintendent, honestly, as some of his replies remind me of a used car salesman. That is what I liken it to. You know, saying a lot of nothing. You know, if you historically look at this administration over the past 2 years, can you honestly say that anything good has been implemented by them?
I don't know. Are our kids reading come third grade, you know, grade level? You know, what is happening? We're just going to be getting our Smarter Balance assessment results. I can't imagine what that's going to be like. They're trying to figure out how to present it because they're probably so bad. Right. That they don't know how to present the information.
Right, and we could have avoided all of this. We could have avoided all of this.
We didn't need Smarter Balance in this district.
We could have avoided all of this. And, you know, for the state to hand down an edict and for the city of Manchester to jump on board just is unconscionable It's unconscionable. You had an opportunity to stand up and say to the state DOE and the federal DOE, no, we're not happy with this.
And you know what? It was a showdown for the money. Okay?
And that's all it boils down to. And who was suffering the collateral damage? These kids.
You know, I just don't think Arnie Duncan in Washington is going to say, no, Manchester, you're not getting the money.
Right. I mean, that's illegal. That's illegal. And nobody wants to go due process. I understand that. But there are some things that are that important, and the children in Manchester are that important. They're that important that you should take a firm stand. Not repealing the head lice policy, not trying to cover up the driver's ed program. Our curriculum is the single most important thing in the school system right now, and it's failing these kids. And it's failing the parents.
Well, they're following the Common Core standards,
right,
which from grades pre-K through 5 or 4, they are age inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
They've been determined that by expert psychologists, child psychologists, and educators all over the country.
I'll tell you where I come from. I'm an occupational therapist. That's what I have a degree in. And actually, my specialty over my 30-year career has been geriatrics. But I raised a child with Asperger's syndrome. Okay? Boy, was he lucky to have me, huh? So I understand what child development looks like, human growth and development. I know where kids should be at a certain age. And it's not it's not set in stone. Every child develops differently. But I have looked at those standards, and I do know that 4th graders are not going to fall in line with critical thinking. They're not going to fall in line with that. You're setting them up for defeat. Why would you do that? Why would anyone want to do that? For a system that is not tried and tested, and this was the perfect opportunity for the administration to come out and they said, we'll develop our own standards, which turned out to be 90% Common Core. Now, another slap in the face to the voters and taxpayers in Manchester. I'm tired of being lied to, and my son has graduated. He's no longer in the school, so I don't have technically any skin in the game. I don't have any children in the school system anymore.
So you can be objective.
I can be objective, but I'm taking a lot of what I see just in my ward. I talk to parents. I talk to everybody who'll talk to me. I don't have a problem with that. I have talked to parents. One of the things that's resonating is that they don't understand Common Core. They don't understand the Manchester academic standards. Subsequently, they're not able to help their children with homework. And because these people don't have college degrees, there's a huge disconnect because they don't think they're smart enough to go in front of the school board or smart enough to go in front of the teachers and say, I don't understand this. I don't understand this. So you've completely alienated one aspect of the population in Manchester, and Ward 5 has its own problems, our own socioeconomic problems, but that shouldn't dictate how people are represented on the school board, and it shouldn't dictate how they should be able to come to their elected official and say, look, I think this is wrong, and they're intimidated. They're intimidated by the language, by the board, by the mayor. They're intimidated by all of those factors. That needs to stop. That needs to stop. If we want people to get on board and understand what we're doing, then we need to find a way to reach out to those people.
Well, Lisa, I know you're the person who's going to go find out the information that you don't know.
Well, I speak their language, Deb. I'm originally from Boston, if anybody can't tell by my accent. But I've lived here for 16 years, and I've watched how the city has evolved, good and bad. We came up to Manchester because I love the freedoms that New Hampshire affords me as a citizen. But I also come from a background where I had a single mom who raised 3 kids on welfare and food stamps and went back to school and got a degree and worked for 29 years in one job and made sure all 3 of her children got a college education. We all own homes. So, I speak the language. I want people to understand that if you want it, it's out there. It's out there for you. We're enabling people by just saying, let us take over all the control and we'll make the decisions for your kids. I don't want to enable them. I want to empower them so they understand that they have a right.
So when they have questions, they can come to you. They
Absolutely.
can call you.
Absolutely.
All the parents in the district can call Lisa.
Absolutely.
You're going to answer your phone.
Yes.
You're going to answer their questions.
I'm going to answer the
And go and
emails and
find
the
out.
Facebook questions. And, you know, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm going to be available 24/7 because I got to sleep and eat sometimes. But, you know, your questions are valid. And there's no such thing as a stupid question in my book, Deb. Ask the question. Ask it. The stupid question is the one that's not asked. So I speak the language of the people of Ward 5. I understand them. They live paycheck to paycheck. You know,
But they want the best education for their
and
kids.
they deserve it. And they deserve the best education for their children. Their children are no less important than the kids that live in the North End, you know, or Bedford, or wherever there's a, you know, a higher income bracket. Those kids are just as important, if not more important, because they face more challenges than some other children do. So we're not putting enough into that as far as empowering people. We're enabling them. You can't keep giving people stuff and expect them to want to pull themselves up out of whatever situation that they're in. So that, and I want to do that. I've gone to meetings with friends of mine who have felt extremely intimidated by just going in front of a team of teachers and guidance counselors, IEP meetings. I'm too stupid. I don't know what I'm saying. And that's a very intimidating process if you've never been through it. There's 6 people sitting on one side of the table and you. So I've advocated for a lot of people around the city, you know, and not to say do this, do that, but to let people know that you have a right to ask questions. And if you don't think your child is being treated fairly or appropriately, then you have a right to question that. People don't see that. They don't see that, especially in Ward 5. They think, oh, I just pay rent and I'm on public assistance. You know, I shouldn't ask any questions. I'm not entitled to answers. Well, you're wrong. You are entitled to answers.
And you will be there for them.
I will. I'll absolutely be there for them. You know, and along with everyone else. And I do take a special interest in the autism program in the city because I think it's lacking in a lot of areas. You know, the people at Smith Road are fantastic. The people in the trenches are not what's lacking. System-wide, I think it's lacking. There's only one autism program for the middle school and the high school. That was a huge issue with my son, who went to the Wilson Street School and then had to transfer over to Parkside, didn't know anybody there, wasn't familiar with the other students, you know, really not even geographically familiar with the area. And it was a very difficult transition, and that's one of the things with autism and Asperger's is that they crave a lot of structure and a lot of familiar faces. So I think there's a lot of issues with that, with the amount of children we have coming through the system now who have been diagnosed on the spectrum. There needs to be a little more attention paid to that.
So are you saying that there's not facilities or services for
There's not services. There's not services.
elementary?
Elementary is each school has their own team. OT, speech, physical therapy if appropriate.
Middle school?
Middle school, there is only one autism program citywide and one autism program high school wide. That's at Parkside Middle School and West High School.
So all those children are bused
They're
to that
all
one
funneled,
center?
exactly. So, and you know, being on the spectrum doesn't mean that everyone looks the same, and that's another one of my issues. My son has Asperger's, which is a high functioning autism. There are people on the spectrum that are lower functioning. So to lump all of those kids together,
One size fits all.
right, and no child should be put in that type of a cookie
So that was
cutter.
frustrating.
Well, it was frustrating. My son asked me in his sophomore year to be, you know, he didn't want to go to the social skills group anymore. And I said, okay, not a problem, you know. And you have to look at each child on an individual basis. And I go back to Common Core. Common Core doesn't do that. Common Core doesn't do that. It puts a child in a mold, and you can't mold a child to what you want it to be. You can only help a child develop. That's it. That's it. So that's one of the things I want to look at.
So parents who are frustrated, they should call you and have a
Absolutely.
discussion about what their frustrations are.
But, you know, and I want to say this in the right way. I'll help you all I can, but you need to help yourself too. I'll give you all the tools. And that, as an occupational therapist, that's my mantra in life, you know. I don't want to take care of you, but I'll teach you how to take care of yourself. You know, I'll do whatever it takes to get you up and running so you know what you need to do in order to make a change that you need. But if you're just going to call me and complain, there isn't much I can do. Go to the school board meetings. Make a phone call. Does anyone know in Ward 5 who their school board representative is? I can't even begin to tell you how many people don't know. And that's one thing I'm going to work on as well. I'll be holding town hall meetings. Because I want people to know who is representing them on that school board.
And so you can bring their concerns.
Absolutely. I mean, you know what? I am nothing without the people that live in that ward, voting-wise and issue-wise. Can't fix it unless I know it's broken. And also, I'm not a politician. I don't want to run for state rep. I don't want to run for alderman.
So it's not a stepping stone.
It's not, and I'm not looking to make this a lifelong career, and I'm not even going to take the health insurance that the school department offers me because I have health insurance. And why should I put that burden on the taxpayers? And I would be on the family plan, but I'm not going to take that. I don't need it. And yes, the plan I have isn't as near as
Cadillac.
Oh yeah, that's a great plan. But why would I do that? I can't possibly tell people do as I say, not as I do. Mm-hmm. We've all had to tighten our belts. And I'm willing to give that up. That could be, 2 years of that could be a teacher. That could be a para.
That's right.
And when you look at it dollars and cents.
Right.
So I'm willing to do that.
What do you think of redistricting? Where do you think that is at right now?
We've got
you have parents who are like up in arms. What? They got notice that they have to switch schools and their child is going to be very upset.
Deb, there's so many things going on. You have to look at, then this is where I think there's a big disconnect between the city planning committee and the school board. People are getting permits to build all these multifamily homes without any consideration on how it may impact the schools. That's a huge issue. That's a huge, very large issue. You can't build a building, now, and I'm not talking 2 or 3 families.
It's like 300 units.
Right, exactly, and not anticipate how it's going to impact those area schools. And if we're not doing that, then there's a problem. And the school board should be saying to the city planning board, what's going on here? We can't do this. As far as redistricting goes, until Manchester can really prove themselves not to be a district in need, there's nothing they can do about it. The federal government is very clear on school choice. I don't agree with how the redistricting was done. The last day of school, let us home with the kids. That to me speaks to some of the insensitivity of this administration, not to consider how that would impact these kids over the summer, how it would impact the parents who have one child at one school and one child at another. Okay? And that plan was never, ever, ever presented in front of the school board. And if it was done behind closed doors because the plan that Dr. Livingston had proposed, okay, said those kids will not have to leave those schools, but they'll have to provide their own transportation. That was the last anyone heard on that. So this was so opposite of what was said initially. Redistricting, yeah, we have to do it at some point, but where you're going to redistrict kids from one mediocre school to another mediocre school, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't, and again, that's where the disconnect is with the city planning board. You can't keep building and expect the school system to absorb all these extra children without some planning. So
right, because there are schools, they have a certain capacity, and that's it. Otherwise, we have to build another school in that area of town.
Right. I mean, West High is not even close to capacity, but nobody wants to go to West. Now, why doesn't anybody want to go to West? My son graduated from West. With honors. Why doesn't anybody want to go to West?
It's a specialized high school now for STEAM Ahead, is it not?
Mm-hmm. But they have other things. They have theater nights. They have the ROTC
arts
program.
ROTC for the military.
Right. Well,
The
we can talk
students-
about NJROTC, but it's a great program because it teaches these kids a lot of discipline, which they lack in a lot of areas. But why doesn't anybody go to West? Because it's a reputation that people have, it's a stigma that people have put on the school. How about encouraging kids to go to West?
Bedford students went to West. They were doing fine.
Exactly. It's not the school, it's what you put into the school. You know, how about if we encourage people, give them incentives? You know what? We can offer you a half a credit towards your diploma if you go to West High.
Yeah.
They're going to give kids a half a credit for marching in a band. You can't give a half a credit to go to West High? Or meet one of their arts electives? There's ways to do it.
Creative ways.
There are creative ways to do it. But to just throw kids a letter at the end of the school year, leave parents scrambling, it's foolhardy. It shows to me, like I said, just a real lack of sensitivity on the administration's part.
Yeah.
So,
So what other ideas do you have for our schools?
well. Oh my, I really want to get parental control back. Boy, did we kick and scream to make sure that happened, and that shouldn't have happened. That shouldn't have happened.
Well, the parents did exercise their choice to refuse Smarter Balance assessment.
Uh-huh.
The school board did, I don't want to say capitulate, but I'm going to say
They caved.
negotiate
They
with
caved.
the parents.
They caved.
The parents voiced their concern, and they said, you know what? You can't be bullying us into taking a government test. Our kids are testing through the wazoo,
It's true.
and enough is enough. And this wasn't supposed to happen. Smarter Balance wasn't supposed to happen.
Yes, I do remember. You and I have been involved with this fight for a while.
So parents will have to come again and submit their refusal letters, I guess. But, you know, you have to take the burden off the kids. I mean, the kids in high school, the 11th grade, they're doing AP testing. They're doing whatever other testing they're doing to prepare for college.
They're doing the PSATs.
The
they're doing
SATs, right. They didn't need to do Smarter Balance.
No, they didn't.
For the government, basically. This is not for their benefit.
Right, not at all. Not at all. As a matter of fact, it's detrimental. Because, you know, if I was faced with that much testing, I'd lose my mind. I'd lose my mind.
And we're talking like 9 hours or something?
Exactly.
It's not just an hour test.
How can you learn anything if you're too busy testing? And how can you want to learn anything? It takes, you know, and I have to say that the teachers really have their plate quite full with this. Quite full. I wish they had spoken out more about Common Core. I wish they had.
Because now they're teaching to the test.
And now they're the ones that are in the trenches.
They're afraid.
And I get that. I get that.
So will you be going through the schools, talking to the teachers, even though the
Absolutely.
administration doesn't want you to?
If I'm invited, I'll go. I will go. And
Well, you know,
and
like some other
I
school
don't
board
have a
members.
problem reaching out to the principals of the schools. And in Ward 5, there's Wilson, Beach, and Central. And I don't have a problem reaching out to the principals at that school because it's supposed to be a collaboration.
It's supposed to be community.
Exactly.
Don't you feel like there's this huge wall between the community and the school district? I do.
Absolutely. And that has to stop.
It doesn't collaborate.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It's us and them.
Yes, right.
And that's not, you know, nothing will get solved with that type of attitude. And I've seen it for some of the people sitting on the school board, you know, with their overall attitude, or, you know, this swami, and, you know, listen, no one should be smirked at. No one should be laughed at. No one should be sitting behind that desk dropping F-bombs. That shouldn't be occurring. You know, you're representing the people in your ward. Show a little decorum. Show a little decorum. And that really bothers me. That really bothers me. I wasn't raised like that. I wasn't raised like that. And they weren't either. They weren't either. So I'll be walking the ward.
In this heat?
No, not right now. People, I love you, bud.
Let it cool off a little bit.
I'll let it cool off a little bit. I have, you know, Alderman at Large, Joe Kelly Lavasser's offered to walk the ward with me, as well as school committee member Beaudry. So I will be doing that as soon as it cools down a little bit. I would like to be holding and I'm organizing a town hall meeting with one of the state reps, Amanda Bolden, so we can kind of get some, you know, people need to know who we are. We need to be visible. We need to be visible. I mean, I do my little wards, you know, Walgreens and Family Dollar, and, you know, I talk to people in those wards. I talk to people. They know who I am, but I want more people to know who I am.
That's good. How about a phone number if you'd like, or your Facebook page?
Oh, my
or
Facebook.
Message you?
Yeah, my email address it's very cryptic. LisaMFreeman at myfairpoint.net. My phone number is 603-391-4502. Facebook me if you want. Lisa Freeman, Lisa M. Freeman. Facebook me if you want. Again, this is not us and them. We need to stop building some bridges. We need to stop mending some things. And I want people to know I'm approachable. I'm here. I don't care what situation you're from. I know where some of these people are at. I get it. Been there. So don't ever think that what you have to say doesn't mean something. It does.
Right.
If it's important to you, it's important to me.
And sometimes you might want them to speak up because you didn't know or something that was going on in the schools.
Absolutely.
You can't be in there constantly.
I had a parent come to me because her child was being bullied in a school and she didn't feel as though the principal was handling it in the appropriate manner. And because I'm limited in what I can do because I don't sit on the school board, I referred her to a school board member who immediately took care of it. But those are the types of things. Those are the types of things.
That's what you're there for.
Yeah, and I even said to her, "Do you know who your school board representative is?" She said, "No." I said, "It's Ted Rokas." "Oh, I don't know who he is." So that needs to stop. It really does. This is not a big secret about who's sitting on the school board and who's their alderman. People should know.
Right. It's kind of like an elite club where they're not communicating with the voters or the residents of the ward. Just like they're elected, now they're in this little club working with the superintendent.
That's right.
Supporting everything she says and does, and that can't be.
No, it can't. And it's not about likability. I'm sure she's a lovely person. I'm sure. But she has failed as an administrator. She has failed. People, hedge our bets, let's move on. Let's find somebody who can get the job done for us. It's a lot of money to be paying somebody who you like. I wish somebody paid me that money because they like me. Oh, I'd be rich. I'd be wealthy. But we need someone who can lead the school system, not follow an edict passed down from the state and the federal government.
That's the only way we get local control.
That's right.
Okay, Lisa, we're wrapping up.
Already?
So, yeah. Well, this is only a half-hour show, but I appreciate you putting your hat in the ring.
Well, thank you, Deb. Thanks for having me on. I do appreciate it.
Because it's going to be an interesting ride here. All right, I give you all the credit for your campaign.
Thank you.
Go for it, Lisa.
Thanks.
Vote for Lisa.
Vote for Lisa.
And for your school board rep, Ward 5, which is inner city.
It's right in the inner city, right? It's it goes from Massabesic, Valley, Beach. It even goes to out where the East Side Plaza is, where the Hannafords is.
Okay.
So it's a pretty good sized ward.
So go to City Hall, register to vote if you're in that district, that area, Ward 5. Vote for Lisa. She will represent you top notch. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks again, Deb.
Appreciate it.